we're going to be watching, so this is the most voted video, so this is what we will do first. So we are doing, this is CoconutRTS, and this video is the secret group in control of Dead by Daylight. I can tell just by the way this video is starting that this is going to be referencing a situation he had where DBD Twitter kind of like freaked out at him for legitimately no reason. Legitimately no reason. It's just pettiness and weirdness. So I'm wondering what he means by the secret group in control of Dead by Daylight. That I'm not sure about, but this situation was ugly and stupid. It was just a bunch of people like he made a little mistake, but they made some mistakes, and they were both kind of like, okay, well that was stupid of you to do to the both of them. But like DBD Twitter was like up in arms with Coco for some reason. It's like they both made mistakes. It's not that big of a deal. Like it's just one match at DBD. But I don't know. Yeah, I wonder where this will head. I should do this real quick. This is the official video. Please go over there, give it a like, and subscribe to Coco because this is not our content. It's not us. This is somebody else's content. So the least you can do is like and subscribe. That way you can support the official release of the video. So, yeah. Hey, Daddy, how's it going? Everybody makes mistakes. No need to get mad about stuff. No, not according to DBD Twitter, because they just want to have drama and complain and whine about anything. So, if they can dogpile a content creator, they will, and they can. They can and they will. So, yeah. Oh, hold on. Do I have my stuff muted by default? I do! That way nothing plays on stream without my permission.
Wow, Nia. You guys kind of deserve it. I was called out for a mistake. With reactions correlating to such a gross act, I somehow found myself in front of a Dead by Daylight mob.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Like, they just kind of just scuffed an endgame save, right? Like, they just scuffed an endgame save, right? Like, he messed up a little, they messed up a little, like, they both scuffed an endgame save. And it's okay for both of them to be frustrated at, like, the ways that both sides scuffed the endgame save. But, like, he's right. Like, literally, like, people came out of the woodwork to be like, oh, CoconutRTS sucks and it's terrible. It's like, it literally was like a mob. It was crazy. People got so mad about this. They got so tilted. And it's crazy because, like, it happens all the time. Yeah, like, you can be frustrated at somebody playing bad or playing wrong, but, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's not worth all that negative reaction. It's really not. Really not. And Coco has had some really bad takes in my opinion. I think Coco has some really bad takes about the game. But I'm not like, oh yeah, go after him. It's like, it's not that big of a deal. It's just not.
Video showcasing my thought processes, begging killer mains to stay on killer, blocking my flashlight and dropping a bang in front of me. Wait, let's just see this clip first. When Myers picks up this guy, if he starts chasing us and we run away from the door, right?
I would argue she wouldn't even get that. That wasn't really an angle unless he had Shadowborn. This isn't even an angle. This right here, that's not really an angle unless he has Shadowborn. I don't think she gets that. I legitimately don't think she would have got that anyway. Yeah, is it bad that he ran in front of the flashlight? Oh yeah. That's a mistake, right? Like he made a mistake too. But like I don't think she would have got that anyway. Like straight up. I don't think that's an angle.
Away from the door, right? Both of us are getting it goes from a 1K to a 3K. If you're so conscious of me blocking your flashlight, you should also know if you want me to go for the save while blinding him on the hook, I need to step in front of your flashlight again. And then as he's blind, no one could get the save. And then Nia, like the dummy she is, she stays at the front of the exit.
Yeah, so like what you want to do here in this situation, if you want the right answer, is like either do what he's doing where you're kind of committing to like leaving. Because if you go like this, and you go into the exit gate, you're kind of almost committing to leaving because you can go so easily get pushed out, which is fine. It may make this person on hook mad because you ideally want to get everybody out. But there's nothing wrong with going in here, going into the exit gate itself, because either you get pushed out or they like pick up and take you out and pick this person up, take them out, and then you can come back in. Or like what you want to do is the Nia kind of had the right idea, but also not at the same time. Is like if you don't want to get pushed out for sure, you definitely shouldn't go into the exit gate if you plan to stay in the match, because you can get pushed out. So she probably should have went far to the left or far to the right. She shouldn't have stayed near the exit gate at all. And she kind of made what messed her up here, which is why I agree that maybe she's not a dummy, but she made a dumb decision, was that she kind of like half committed to both ideas, right? She didn't commit to going into the exit gate because she didn't want to get pushed out, but she also didn't commit to going left or right out back into the map. So she kind of, her indecisiveness is what put her in that situation. No offense, she had no way of knowing he had a flashbang. I mean, they could use their eyes. they can use their eyes. They can look and see that.
I'm like, Nia's a dumbass. Begging killer mates to stay on killer, blocking my flashlight, dropping a bang in front of me, blinding me, saying we deserve it for going into CJ Tech. And the comments began flooding in, causing an eruption of controversy to unfold before me from a mere mistake.
Yeah, like that's like, it's not that big of a deal. Like all this because of a mistake? Like this is like this is ridiculous. This is an overreaction. I think the DBD community, because it is such a stream heavy game and a content creation heavy game, that like everybody really, really wants a piece of the attention pie. I think that's legitimately what it is. I feel like people really, really want a piece of that attention pie. So they just like start trouble with content creators so they can get that attention. So they can get attention on their Twitter. They can get attention on their YouTube. Even if you don't make content yourself, if you pick a fight with a big content creator, not a big content creator, but like just like pick fights with content creators, you kind of like have a pseudo presence in the community just by picking fights and whining, right? It's like they want a piece of that attention pie, so they just like over exaggerate and overblow situations like this so they can be part of the conversation, so they can have the spotlight as well. It's really cringy. It's really disgusting. Overreaction comes from the they deserve it. I mean, like, I say that all the time. I'll say people like who make mistakes deserve that bad things happen. Like, honestly, she should have committed to either being in the exit gate or leaving and going somewhere else on the map. She shouldn't have kind of hovered between the exit gate or, you know, going out into the deeper into the map. So in a sense, yes, she does deserve it, right? She does deserve it because she made a misplay. She does deserve to not make it out of that match because she messed up. It's just not that big of a deal. But they're making it that big of a deal because they want a part of that attention pie. I'm telling you, I mean, even on my tiny YouTube channel, I can tell you how many people make like 4-page essays or really, really off the wall, rude and cruel comments for like no reason. And I don't give them the attention. I don't give them the time of day because that's what they want. They want to upset you because they want that from you, because you know they're not talented enough or don't have the means to make their own content. So the way that they get their content is by like essentially like hijacking yours and making it about them. So you gotta like not entertain those people. You really don't.
Mistake. Was I being unreasonable? Why was the community going after me? Is there anything that I could have done to prevent a situation like this? Well, from everything I knew about the Dead by Daylight community, no.
No.
See, this community is very combative. When certain players don't get what they want, they favor towards using various infamous tactics. When killers feel it's impossible to win a match, they resort to tunneling and camping, the act of trying to kill a survivor as fast as possible to try to gain a competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
When survivors become upset from not liking the killer, map, or teammate playstyle, they resort to suiciding on hook, or in my situation, intentionally going down to start drama.
Yeah, we had that happen today. We were playing on Garden of Joy. We had a Fang in our match who got downed, hooked first. When I unhooked her, she ran back into the Garden of Joy house. She ran back into the main building, and the artist ran after her. And instead of like continuing to loop, because the artist was choosing to tunnel, she just stood in the doorway and just gave up through the whole match. Yeah, same thing with the Meg, Elusive Panda. Same thing with the Meg. The Meg, we had the camping Bubba. We could have got a two out in that match, even with him having deadlock, but because she gave up on hook through the whole match, gave him a 4K.
Over something they had complete control over.
Yeah.
My controversy was a symptom caused by residual emotional trauma. These infamous tactics are often looked down upon on Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube. By shaming people who resort to doing these things, healers and or survivors alike feel guilty as a result of shame.
Oh, I'm gonna get canceled on Twitter. Oh my god, all these people, they're gonna freaking do this and that.
Which is a tool often used by the Dead by Daylight community to manipulate others to do what they want them to.
Yeah, how many of you don't, like, there's so many, how many of you don't camper tunnel or don't, like, gen rush because you don't want to be that guy? How many of you, like, actively don't use the kind of, like, cheesier tactics in this game because you don't want to be that guy? You don't want to be seen as that kind of player. You 100%? Yeah, it's fairly common. You don't use Lightborn for that reason, even if you hate flashlights. Don't use Lightborn for that reason? It's very common. Don't want to fight fire with fire. See, it's like it's successful. That's why they do it. It's public shaming. That's what it is. It's public shaming. If they can get people to rally around a rule book that exists outside the game, like a code of honor, some etiquette, right? Then, you know, even though the game allows you to do essentially whatever you want, if you can public shame them enough, people avoid doing certain things. They do. So it's not even just like they do it in the sense of like, it's not even that they just like do it in the sense of like just doing it to be mean. They do it because it works. They also do it because it works. It's probably both, but they do it because it works as well. Kind of too easy, and I like pressure. You know, that's how I feel. I find it boring, but I wouldn't like go on a quest to make you stop.
In turn, is a means in order to remain in control. And in control of what? Basically trying to control how the other side reacts.
Oh, I can make Coconut bend to my will by complaining. I'm gonna make him bend to my will whenever I want.
They want you to apologize for making a mistake in a video game? No.
No,
It's gotten
exactly,
so
and he
bad.
shouldn't. He should. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. It happens. Nobody is perfect in this game. Nobody. Not the 8,000 hour Andy, not the 4K hour Andy, not the 2K hour Andy. Like, nobody in this game is perfect. Nobody in this game is perfect. You're gonna make mistakes. It happens. You don't have to apologize because you made a mistake. It just happens, dude. Not a big deal. Both parties allowed to be frustrated in the moment and move on with their lives. Like, so petty, man.
That even the developers of Dead by Daylight were afraid to make changes in fear of community backlash.
We'll make a point out of letting things settle before making rash decisions these days between PTB and live days. I'm burned out in the past by making rash decisions when the initial feedback was rough. Oh my.
Yeah, I remember this, and this made me so angry. I remember when I read that because the circle, when circle first came out, was super strong. It's still pretty good. It was super strong back then. And they said they didn't want to adjust it right away because they didn't want to get yelled at by the community. I'm like, guys, you are a very rich company. What? How is your PR so bad? So bad that you are afraid of your player base? How is your PR and your relations with your community so bad that you're afraid of them? Like, holy moly. Like, that is, to me, that's bleak. That's a bleak thing to hear, that you're afraid to adjust things in your game because you're scared of your community. Like, that there's a disconnect happening, clearly. There's a disconnect happening. You have not made good with your community and upheld that relationship with them if you're just sitting in fear of them to adjust things in the game. Like, what on earth?
My god, can't wait for them to... So, what their opinion means, don't mean they're always gonna be negative. Make a decision, act on it, and don't be scared about the feedback. The way to make a good game is to make mistakes and then fix those mistakes.
Yeah, and that's the main problem, is that they make mistakes and they leave them. They make mistakes and leave them. It's not that the problem is that they make mistakes a lot. It's that they make mistakes and they leave them. They'll put interruption and go, that's fine, and won't change it since mid-chapter, right? Since mid-chapter last year. Since mid-chapter last year. They were just like, months and months and months and months. They're just like, yeah, whatever, just deal with it. I don't care. Like, they knew it was a problem for a long time. Just like, yeah, whatever, just deal with it. You know. And it's just like that's the problem, because Coco is right. Like, they should just go out there and make mistakes. But the problem is behavior doesn't want to retroactively go back and fix them when they're done. Like, they essentially, it's like submitting a paper in either college or high school. Sometimes your professor or teacher will send the paper back to you for revisions, so you can make a better version of that paper. But, like, behavior doesn't want to do that. Behavior's anti-revision. They just want to get it done the first time. The first time is the last time, and send it in. That's what they want. So revisions aren't their thing. If they got asked to do a revision, they'd be like, no, not happening. And that's where they kind of like that's kind of where they fall apart. And also probably why they're afraid to make big changes to the game is like, they know they're not going to go back and touch up on it. You know, they're not going to go back and correct mistakes or make revisions. So they spend all this time like got to be good the first time, because we're not going to go back and touch it. And at least not for like 6, 7, 8 months. So it's just like, oh, man.
Not afraid of making mistakes, and the development team are scared of their community, which is bad.
Yep.
Behavior tends to nerf killers. There has been a lot of disconnecting. People disconnect when they don't like a killer. Every single time someone got a spirit, they disconnect. And people disconnect so much of spirit that she got nerfed. And they also did this with Legion and Freddy. Old Spring's mixtape with Legion allowed Legion to actually down people in the frenzy by walking backwards. Freddy had add-ons that made gens feel like molasses, and it just wasn't really fun to verse. So what did people do? People disconnected. People left their games. If there's a sense of dissatisfaction,
it's like voting with your dollar, right? It's almost like they were voting with their dollar. You ever heard of that phrase before? Voting with your dollar. If you think that a restaurant sucks, you don't go there, right? You go to the restaurant across the street, and over time, the restaurant across the street will beat the other restaurant, and the restaurant will go out of business. You voted with your dollar. You said, your food sucks, I'm not going there. So I'm going to go to the restaurant across the street, and their business will boom and your business will fail. It's kind of like what they did there. Is like, this was clearly too much, especially Forever Freddy. This was clearly too much. We, voted to have these things removed by refusing to participate. Like, refusing to participate, right? Like voting with your dollar. Yeah, now Freddy is just like, ugh. Like, Spirit's still great and fun to play and awesome, whereas like Freddy is like kind of meh, aggressively meh. So yeah, different levels of quality in the nerfs, but yeah.
In the community, the behavior tends to act,
And I believe this slowly conditioned the community to feeling like they can control developer design decisions. Tinfoil DBD conspiracy of the day. Some people are dying prematurely on Hook to manipulate the stats and convince the devs to walk back on changes. Although the majority of the comments on that YouTube video are basically people saying that they like the patch, there is an increased surge of people disconnecting and suiciding on Hook to the point where every single game that you play, you can't escape someone disconnecting. Even though many players deem this as the best Dead by Daylight had been for a long time.
No.
Disconnecting had become a part of
the killer changes were good, but the perk changes were bad on both sides, right? Like the base kit changes to killer were nice, but the perk changes, the new meta introduced was gross. So like, it was yes and no. It was a good patch and a bad patch at the same time.
Dead by Daylight culture. If there was something you didn't like, you just disconnect or suicide on Hook. After all, the disconnect penalty is only a mere 1 minute.
Or 5 minutes, apparently. Apparently mine was 5 minutes, even though I hadn't DC'd at all. So I don't know, the DC penalty's just been wonky and broken lately. I don't know why. It'll just randomly give you whatever number it wants, so.
Significant. 2, 3, 4 points that correlate to actions in the Dead by Daylight community. Survivors disconnect en masse versus Nurse. Nurse gets nerfed. Freddy gets nerfed. Spirit gets nerfed. 39 meta perks.
But those like, I get where he's probably heading with this, which is that like, that shouldn't be the case, but like, those things were BS though. You know? Like, those are all three of those nerfs to Forever Freddy, to Old Spirit, to Nurse. Those needed to happen. Yeah, exactly, Gardner. Those needed to happen. So this isn't necessarily a negative thing intrinsically, because I think all those changes were good and needed to happen. Because if you played with those characters in their former forms, they were miserable. They were absolutely miserable. And the main thing being there was a distinct lack of interactivity. Like it wasn't even just that they were oppressive or really powerful. It was just like there was a lack of play. There was a lack of play. Killers DCing from Survivors running old Ironworks 12. Yeah, like Killers DCing like anybody DCing from certain maps, like Survivors DCing on a Midwich offering, or like Killers DCing on like a Batum offering, kind of shows you which maps probably need looked at. You know, it's just a way to see like what people don't want to deal with. And if you look into why, and there's more than just pettiness there, and you're like, huh, maybe this is too strong, maybe this is too weak, that's a great way to look at like what needs to be probably adjusted. It's a good thing in a lot of ways, but I'm wondering if he's going to go the route of saying it's a bad thing. So
reworked, and survivors disconnect en masse. Many become worried and believe the new wave of disconnects are a manipulation tactic to revert particular perk nerfs and or buffs, a means to manipulate the stats to make it seem like things are worse than they actually are. Because according to the statistics, these are how things are changed in Dead by Daylight.
Will Object of Obsession get a rework or a change?
So I went and took a look at the recent statistics on this thing. It's not used very often, and the survivors that use it don't have a particularly high escape rate. It's something that will probably leave as it is, unless I see some statistics that lead me to believe that there's a deep problem.
I remember this. That upset me too, because Old Object was really good, right? Like you had to be good with it, right? Because like is Uzi streaming right now? Where's Uzi? Where's Uzi when I need him? Uzi, are you around? Because Uzi still uses Object, but like the problem is like not everybody used Object because that intrinsically led you to being in chase because the killer just knew where you were at, right? But like if you're really good at chase like Uzi is, like you could waste so much time. And yeah, like stuff like Midwich and stuff where like they literally can't catch up to you because you always know where they're coming from. Like it's... Yeah, like that just wasn't... Like this is another conversation. But to put it very briefly, it's okay that they don't understand these things because it's not fair to expect them to simultaneously make the game and play the game constantly at the same time. But that's why you have a consultant program like the Fog Whisperers to ask them what they feel about things. And when the Fog Whisperers and their consultants tell them, hey, I don't think this is a good idea, and you go, thanks for letting me know, and you do mostly the same thing anyway, it's like, what's the point of even having them? Like, what's the point of even having them? Like, why?
I'd like to take a brief moment to thank the sponsor of this video, Clash Royale.
Clash
This
Royale,
is a game
woo!
I used to play in band class with my friends in high school, but I just wanted to have some fun tinkering on my phone. So I'm very happy that Supercell is sponsoring this video. Clash
Guys,
Royale
copy
is
them
a
true.
real-time
Very, very true. You have to know how to loop
starring
with old
royales,
objects.
Clash
Even
characters,
new object, I
and
would argue.
much more. Collect and upgrade dozens of cards
So if you can't loop
featuring
well,
the Clash
get
of Clans
hosed.
troops, spells, and defenses. That is also a game that I play with my friends, where my own little niche group of friends made our own little clan and raided random people all the time. With the
Raid
royales
Shadowlands?
such as princes, knights, baby dragons, and
wrong
more.
thing,
Knock
wrong
the
thing.
enemy
Sorry.
king and princesses from their towers.
Princesses.
Defeat your opponents and
Princesses.
win trophies, crowns, and
Princesses.
glory in the arena. I have very fond
Princeraptors?
memories playing this game in the past. And if you guys would like to check it out, a link to the game is in the description.
Yeah,
down
you're
below.
like, hey, come get me.
But I'd like to thank
You're making it
Supercell
a killer,
with
brother.
Clash
Hey, come get
Royale
me.
for helping make videos like these possible. Thank you. According to the official Dead by Daylight Wikipedia page, Object of Obsession was a controversial perk often used by one survivor and a survivor friends.
Yep.
To stake out and relay the killer's actions and location.
Yeah, that was
to their
another
fellow
thing. It was
teammate.
really strong in comms. Really strong in comms. Really strong in comms. Because you just be like, what do you say? It's just like, hey, he's over here, he's doing this. Hey, he's over here, he's doing this. So if you got a group with that, is it so strong?
While keeping distance, never catching survivors, and getting foreman outed every game.
And since my statistics tell me that people running it don't escape that often, I'm inclined to think that it's a perception issue more than an issue with the perk itself. Because the complaints on the forum aren't that the thing is underpowered, it's that it's overpowered.
Yeah, oftentimes it's not even just about the escape rate or the kill rate. It's about, is it fun to play against? But if picking...
He's saying smart things. Look at it go. Look at that. There you go. Analyzing the data instead of just looking at the data. Breaking down the data instead of just the numbers. What do the numbers mean is just as important as the numbers themselves. Wow. Wild.
It makes it so that it's frustrating, then it probably needs to at least be looked at.
Yes.
By
God
making a
bless him.
mistake, I was condemned for not playing perfectly. In a selfish statement correlated in the root of me, when all I was thinking about was us. Both of us are getting f***ed. We run away from the door. I'm gonna try to blind him while he's hooking so that Nia can slip behind and get an unhook play off. I made someone upset. Therefore, they tried to crucify me on Twitter, trying to get me to apologize. Oh, please don't hurt me with your Twitter follow me. You're never wrong. I told my side of the story, my reasons for every
Why did it
move,
ever become
and
this deep? Why did it ever become this deep? Why did it ever become this deep? Like, why did it ever become this deep? Like, legitimately. Like, why did it ever become this deep? Like, ever. It's not that deep. We mess up stuff all the time. Right? Like we had that game on Records Yard today with the clown that turned from a potential 3-out into a 1-out. And it was because the Cheryl and the who was the other player? It was Cheryl and I think I was the Fang. There was Cheryl and someone else. There were 2 survivors in the basement. They botched the save, and instead of they botched the save in the basement, they get the person off hook, but they both go down. But instead of recovering, they decided to crawl out of basement for some reason. So when I came back to pick them up, nobody was recovered. Was it Michaela? Okay. I came back to pick them up, and neither the Michaela or the Cheryl were ready. So the clown just, hunts me down, puts me down, hooks me, and then puts those 2 in the basement, right? That was a bad play. That was a mistake on their part, and it was frustrating in the moment. But I would never, raise a Twitter mob against that. Like, if I found out they were, a big streamer or something, I would never raise a Twitter mob about it. Like, it's okay. It's just, it's a mistake. Right? Like, maybe, I don't know what they were thinking, because, maybe they were crawling away from basement to get away from basement, but they didn't make it out of shack, or barely made it outside of shack, so it's you're still going in the basement anyway. It just didn't make any sense that their play did. But that's, I don't know, maybe that's the game they learned that, right? Maybe that's the game they go, okay, next time I should have recovered. I should have recovered instead. That was probably the better play. And that's the moment they learned that, maybe. It's not worth it to hold on to it that long, much less race a Twitter mob about it. He's a Pete.
I don't see how you go down here. At this point, I'm like, Nia's a dumbass. And even admit to some of my mistakes. Yo, I stepped in front of your flashbang. I fucked up once. And I believe a lot of the community's problems are related to the notion of always wanting to get what they want.
Explain to me how that f***ing reach just hit that.
Oh, wow. That's not cool.
Nice.
Explain to me.
I don't know who this is, but they deserve nothing,
What
and
the f*** was that?
you deserve nothing for
There's
saying
a
that.
pool right in front of my goddamn.
Oh my god. In a world where killers face off against survivors, and one side always gets what they want, the game would be dead. Who would want to play a game where they always lose? Where the other side always wants to win, and thus always does. One side always gets what they want, they always win. Other side always loses, lose players, game dies. Fundamentally, there is something wrong between the relationship of community to community and community to developer.
I'm burned out in the past by making rash decisions when the initial feedback was rough.
And here I have to ask, what can we do? Does the community just need to change in order to try to make the game a less toxic environment? Can the developers make changes that can cultivate a less toxic experience? I made a tweet a long time ago asking if it was possible to remove toxicity from Dead by Daylight. The result of that poll was people thinking it was impossible. Regardless, I made it one of my goals. I was going to give it a go. And this is the video showing a root cause to a source of toxicity. I've done everything I can thus far. So I'd like to say, I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And for watching.
There will be the intoxication of power. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who is helpless. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
I think it's like, I think the line obviously is like taking that anger out on someone else. There are plenty of times I get frustrated and I just don't make it about the other person. I don't make it personal. Like, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard to keep your anger to yourself. It's really not that hard. You are flying off the handle when you do stuff like that. Like, it's really not that difficult. It's really not that crazy to keep your anger to yourself. You're allowed to be mad. You're allowed to be frustrated. But, like, I can get mad. Very, very mad, right? I can get very, very mad at this game. I do often. Not as often as I used to, actually. But, yeah, like, I have gotten mad at this game before very intensely, and there's plenty of situations that are irritating. I think it's a better word. Like, I get irritated at this game a lot. But to make the conscious choice to go onto Twitter, to post make and post a clip and try to get people to rally, to harass, get frustrated with, cancel a content creator because you're mad. It's just one of those things that it's like, clearly there was a line here, and clearly you crossed said line. Clearly there was a line here, and you crossed said line. You just did. And it's not that hard to stop from crossing that line. And I think it just shows an extreme lack of maturity on our community's part. And we can't even make the claim, like, with, like, FPSs and stuff, that, like, most of our community, we have a large, like, young audience in our community, where it's, like, you know, literal kids or you know, teenagers that aren't yet even in their 20s. Like, you can make that call with a lot of FPS games, and that's why they're toxic. But these are, like, grown adults, you know? These are grown people who should know better. I'm not saying we don't have young people that play our game, but a majority of the player base is, like, I think it was like 21 to 34 is, like, the biggest pool. They released those stats once. I think it was 21 to 34 is, like, the biggest player group for DBD. So it's like most people are adults, like grown people, and they don't know how to handle that. That's so just disgusting. Weird playground of being gross to others. Yeah, like we had that night gamer on Swamp who let us out for 3 minutes and 30 seconds and then started hooking everybody. Like, he was just wasting our time and trying to be rude on purpose just to get a reaction out of us. Like, how sad do you have to be in, like, your mid-20s or your early 30s? And the thing that makes you happy is stealing joy from somebody in an online game that's not even that popular compared to other online games. How is that your idea of a good time? It's like really pathetic. That's really sad. That's why you never see me, like, yell at them in the endgame chat or say anything, like, wild or off the wall back to them, because it's like, I know that I know whether they are willing to admit it or not. That's pathetic. If that's the most important and exciting thing going on in your day, your world is really small. Your world is really tiny if that's what concerns you for the day. I would even argue that, like, not that I think what he did was incorrect or bad, But like Coco giving so much attention to this person that started this Twitter mob against him, like that's what they wanted. World tiny for them. So I'm gonna pick on big content creator to feel better about myself. And you gave them a lot of validation by doing that. You gave them a lot of validation. On purpose or not, you gave them a lot of validation. You said, this is a tactic that works, that gets me a lot of attention, it makes me feel valid. Right? You want to give them what they want? Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Beast. You don't want to give them what they want. You do not. And I think that, I don't know, you kind of played into their hand. I think Coco played into their hand. They wanted to whine and cry and raise a stink, and they got a stink. Right? They got that attention that they wanted. So I don't know. I think you just gotta let people be miserable, right? You just gotta let people be miserable. I know it's like I understand that like his angle is like, oh, I wanted to stop, so I want to like, you know, I want to like try to fight the toxicity. But some people are just toxic people. Like some people are just toxic people. Like, just are. It's not about the game. It's not about DBD. Like, some people are just toxic human beings. I used to be a person that like just like intrinsically thought that like everybody is good, and then circumstances change them. Which there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of bad people that wouldn't be bad people if they had better circumstances. But I do think that there are some people in this world that, like I was mentioning earlier this tonight, was like some people just have fun at other people's expense. Some people don't get joy unless it's at someone else's like detriment. And those people thrive off the attention that they get from doing it. They really, because that's part of the detriment. Like I'm saying, like that's part of the detriment for them. That's part of the detriment is getting, like now you're living in their head rent free. Now they're making multiple videos about you. You're getting so much attention from this that you weren't even getting before. So they're getting that to your detriment. So I don't know. You just TLDR, just don't try to feed that. Don't try to feed them. They probably don't have the best stuff going on in their life anyway. Nothing really exciting going on. If that's like the big thing that they want to do is fight on Twitter, that's the big thing they want to do, you know. So yeah. Probably see this, yeah, exactly. They probably see this video, watch this, like they're probably eating this up, right? Like they're probably like, oh, another one, because they already made one video about this. He made one video explaining like how he messed up and how they messed up, just as a situation. So now this is the second video he's made about this person, right? So they're just probably just eating this up, because they're getting so much attention now from this. Which is exactly what the person wanted by raising the stick on Twitter in the first place, was to make drama out of it. Now you're feeding into the drama. So, yeah. TLDR, don't give them attention, because that's probably what they want, because they're probably not getting enough attention elsewhere. Take you down to the level and beat you with experience. That's funny. Never argue with an idiot, because they'll take you down to the level and beat you with experience. That is... Yep. Yep. Can't put that any better. Really can't put that any better.